Thank you so much for coming.
That's the amended budget, the new one.
Good evening, everyone. This is an official meeting of the Livingston Parish Council. Today being January the 25th, 2024, in the year of our Lord, 6 o'clock p.m., and this is a regular scheduled meeting. Before we get started tonight, the invocation by Mr. Ryan Shavers. Would you take the honors, please?
Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve the people of District 2 in this parish. I want to also thank you for the team that I have here before me to work alongside with. I want to thank you for giving us Randy DeLatte to serve alongside with as well. Lord, please guide our decisions and our paths that we always look out for the people of this parish. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Mr. Billy Gibson, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank y'all so much for showing up. Miss Sandy, would you call the roll to make sure we have a quorum here tonight, please?
Mr. Mangus?
Here.
Mr. Goff?
Here.
Mr. Watts? Okay.
Here.
Mr. Wascom?
Oh, I'm here.
Yeah. Ms. Sandifer is absent. Mr. Artie?
Here.
Mr. Shavers?
Here.
Mr. Coates?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
One absent.
All right. The first item under presentation, let's go ahead and pick up. It was placed in the wrong position on the agenda, but that would be item A. 8A would be the Library Board of Control report. This was by Michelle Parrish, and then we're going to jump down to item 16 after this. So there'll be no action on this particular item, but this is a presentation. Is Miss Michelle here?
Good evening, Council. Michelle Parrish, Livingston Parish Library Director. When we were at the last council meeting, y'all asked me to bring to the board a request to move books to another location while they're under review. I did that. We had a rescheduled meeting last night. That meeting went on quite a while. There was a lot of discussion about that agenda. I know Miss Sandy emailed y'all all the letter from Tulane that the board had to discuss. There was a letter from Tulane Law Clinic saying that if the books were removed and placed in a different location, that a lawsuit would probably be filed. They cited numerous court cases from the Supreme Court. I reached out to our parish attorney when I got that letter, and the parish attorney also advised that he was well aware of the Tulane Law Clinic. He had some associations with them in other parishes, and that they would absolutely file a lawsuit if they thought they needed to. He said he fully understood the sentiment of the current political situation in Livingston, and he would defend the library board if needed, but the fight in court would be very costly, and he could not guarantee a victory. And where it would be filed in federal court, the prevailing party would also get damages, and the court could also require us to pay attorney fees for the plaintiff. So the board discussed it, and what they decided to do was to table the matter until they could get an AG's opinion. So we are going to be working on that. So that was the outcome of that agenda item. Y'all have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Michelle. Is there any questions from the council? Thank you so much for coming.
No problem. Thank y'all. You have a good night.
All right. Item B has been removed. Real quick, let's pick up 9 to adopt the minutes for the December 14th meeting, for the regular scheduled meeting. Ms. Sandy, those minutes were completed and delivered?
Can be, but we need to hold off on C, please.
All right. Is there a motion to adopt the minutes from December the 14th and January the 11th?
I move that we adopt the minutes.
Motion by Mr. John Mangus.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Billy Taylor. Any discussion? All in favor say yes. Yes. Is there any opposed? That motion carries. Let's skip down to item 16 real quick, if y'all don't mind. I think there's an LSU ladies basketball game on tonight, and some people want to try to knock that out. So this would be to adopt a resolution from the council to give the parish president the authority to submit a recovery proposal and execute any and all documents related to the formal submission of a recovery proposal via resolution. The following are possible proposed projects that we would be authorizing Mr. Delat to go out and try to acquire. Renovations and additions to the Livingston Parish Animal Shelter. These grants would cover Livingston Parish Master Drainage Plan, Livingston Parish Indoor-Outdoor Arena, Livingston Parish Warehouse of Storage of Emergency Commodities, and the Livingston Parish Community Safe Center Room. Is there a motion to authorize this resolution?
I'll make a motion to adopt it.
Motion by Mr. Taylor, second by Mr. Erdy. Is there any discussion?
I think it'd be prudent to mention the dollar amount that they're going after, which is $4,964,000.
Thank you. Say it again, please, Ricky.
$4,964,000.
$4.9 million. Good luck, Mr. Delat. I hope you can get it. Mr. Scott, did you have something you wanted to say?
You said discussion, right?
Yeah, if you have something you'd like to say. Won't you come, if you want to talk, come up here to the podium real quick and no, that's all right. Just give us your name and address and then.
My name is Darryl Scott. I live at 218 East Street, Denham Springs, Louisiana, 70726. I was born and reared here, and I left and joined the military and went off and come on back. And when I got back, right, I'm displeased at what I see in my community. I only speak not for the whole 7% of African Americans in Livingston Parish, but that little percentage there west of in West Livingston. I speak for them, and I'm not appointed or elected. I'm just needed. We are neglected, and I'm looking down here at $5 million. I read the thing, and I went back and did my due diligence on it, and it says that in order for this grant to be, I guess, lit, it has to have 51% of the beneficiaries have to be LMI, low to middle income. Is that what that means?
I'm assuming that's...
Okay, that's what that means. Okay, so how are we going to take $5 million, which won't sustain a shelter, it won't sustain it over the years, and add to or build an animal shelter when we got at least 1,000 people in my community that need road drainage and curb and gut and everything? I think we're getting our priorities all out of bounds here, and especially in my community, because the roads in my community were paved in 1964, and the reason I remember it, because I was a little boy watching it being done, and it hadn't been done since.
Well, I just got some roads done. That's actually my district.
You got a road done.
You got a road done. I can name you some.
Okay, I don't want to debate the road situation, but it's messed up. It's beyond anything. And then we got blight property. You talk about, that's in here, blight property. I got a housing authority that's been there 7 years that I'm sure if it was on the other side of that track, it had already been torn down. But it's on my side of the track, and it's been there, and there's nothing being done about it, and nobody's doing anything to correct it. But I'm here to tell you, we ain't accepting that no more, ever. That's over. We need that taken care of along with our roads and our drainage done. We're the most neglected in all of this parish. 0.1% of the parish budget was used there. You know what that was? For that road you paved. Thank you.
I got a quick question for you, Mr. Scott, before you take off. Is that all right?
Go ahead, Mr. Ricky.
Do you live inside the city limits or outside?
I do.
Yes, sir. So it's kind of tough from our standpoint. We can only do so much from a parish aspect of it. And that 51% that you're referring to, that takes a 51% of low poverty. That's just a benchmark that we got to meet to be able to get the $4 million.
I understand.
And then we try to do whatever we can.
Believe me, I understand.
But,
and then,
I'm sure
the bottom one is the one I got, the last part of that thing where it said, improvement permanent residence structures which upon completion will be occupied by LMI household. You can't put no dog, that's not no dog or no cat. That's a human being. So you can't utilize that, this funds to go do that with. That's what I'm arguing. You can't do that.
Mr. Mangus has a question.
Mr. Scott.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that I'm on the finance committee, and speaking with Mr. Mickey McMorris, who's the
I know
CFO basically for the parish. You're absolutely right as far as the maintaining of a shelter.
Yes.
that is going to come out of other funds. This is
Right.
a grant is just part of it. So the entire, this is not going to be used to maintain that. There are other funds for that. And to speak to that, there are $4 million that Mr. Delat is approving for basically drainage
Yes.
and road improvements.
Yes.
And your councilman can add roads to the list if needed.
May I? See, we've been on the list. We've been on the list since 1961. We've been on the list for everything. We always at the bottom of the list. And by the time it gets to us, there ain't no more money. We always at the bottom of the list. I'm not here telling you nothing most of you don't know, because heck, all of you probably grew up right here with me. And you know where we were and where we are today. Nobody, I'm not here to BS you or to shuck and jive you. I'm here telling you the truth, the God's honest truth.
If I can,
We get left out of every decision you make determines on the finances and the funding of that community. And we all know that to be the truth. We ain't got to come up here making up nothing. It's the truth. And it's time to change that and get all of us be inclusive. This is my parish. I love Livingston Parish like you do. But I want what it's got to give to me too.
I have someone else want to speak, Mr. Scott, I think.
I want to say one more thing to his. 1 second, if I could.
Well, I'll get you. I'll get you up there.
Go ahead.
Mr. Scott.
Yes.
When you talked about blighted properties.
Yes.
I tasked Mr. McMorris and his staff to look into adjudicating properties.
Yes.
That are blighted properties.
Yes.
And that has never been a big budget item for us as far as making much money, but I believe that it can, and so they are looking into it, and I don't know what the process is.
That's what I need to know. All I need to know is how long it's going to take to look into it, because they've been there 7 years.
Right.
The housing authority, ever since the flood been there, the housing authority sits in my neighborhood. It's a disaster. And if you pass by it and looked at it, you know it's a disaster. And if it was anybody else's neighborhood, it wouldn't be there. And we all know that.
What we would like to look into doing is finding the properties, finding the ones that are in arrears as far as taxes.
Yes.
And then taking those properties over, demoing what's on them, and then selling them back to. So you're looking at areas that are more blighted. You have a chance of us actually as a parish making money off it and improving everybody's.
See, I don't know how much money you
value.
can make off the federal government, because the federal government owns the Livingston Parish Housing Authority in Denham Springs. I believe HUD owns it.
Yeah.
But it sits in my neighborhood regardless of who owns it. It is a blighted property, and it's been there for 7 years. So the parish, who is responsible for my neighborhood and the things in Livingston Parish, and the city are responsible, both you and the city are responsible for making sure that my neighborhood does not have blighted property from the federal government. That's your job, not mine. And I ain't trying to tell you how to do it, but that property should not be in my neighborhood for 7 years. It wouldn't be in yours. And that's all I'm saying.
Do you have something to add or just echoing that?
Yeah, just echoing on that. Do I need to get up to the mic?
If you're going to say something, it'd be great to come on up and give us your name and address, please.
My name is Marshall Lee Williams. I'm a resident of Denham Springs, 433 Louise Street, 401 Woodland Street, 416 Central Street. All those are my residents. I own those properties. I've lived in Denham Springs all my life. I was run out of town a while, but I'm back. And now that I'm back, the only things that get done, they claim that it's being done through the parish, but the mayor of Denham Springs, the only reason we're out here is because the mayor said the ball is being dropped here. We need the ball to be picked up. So that's why we keep coming, and we will keep coming. And we'll bring more people if we need more people to find out where is the ball. Since we're in the park with the ball is being dropped here in the parish. So we need to find out who's dropping the ball or who's in charge of the ball. Just got Randy Gillette up there. He made a lot of speeches about what he's going to do. We need to see who's going to do what, other than other places across the highway. And when I say across the highway, I mean across Rodeo Drive, all those areas. But you go in those areas, they're real nice. You cross the highway, you can't even get out of the neighborhood, let alone in the neighborhood, and when you get in it, you're trapped in it. There's no way to get out of our neighborhood. We're having problems. And y'all out here talking about the council. We need somebody to counsel what needs to happen. And it irritates me to get up here and talk if I get too upset.
That's all right.
Yeah. I dealt with the military. They put me out the military with an honorable discharge because they felt like I would do something that I didn't need to do. So I'm going to sit down. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right, I believe we had, wasn't there a motion and a second on this one, Sandy?
Yes.
Okay.
Taylor and Artie.
Okay, would you call for the vote on this?
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Goff?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. Artie?
Yes.
Mr. Shavers?
Yes.
Mr. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
All right. Item 10, Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. The Quality Assurance Panel recommendation with the Acadian Ambulance contract renewal. Mr. Chris Anderson, did you have something you want to say about this?
Mr. Chair and Council, good evening. Last meeting, we tabled this discussion to appoint Mr. Coates now on the Quality Assurance Panel. What we came up with, we did have a meeting. We would like to extend the current contract unchanged with Acadian for a period of 6 months, not 1 year that's indicated on the agenda. During that 6-month period, if we can come to a new contract written out and agreed upon, we can come back at any given time during that 6 months, if that's okay with y'all, to either extend it again or bring it forth to the council to put it in permanent place.
All right, Mr.
So that's
Coates,
what
is
we're
there a
asking for
motion?
tonight.
There's a motion.
Seconded by Mr. Goff. Any more discussion?
Who made the motion?
Mr. Coates. You want to call for the vote?
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Goff?
Yes.
Mr. Watts? Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. Artie?
Yes.
Mr. Shavers?
Yes.
Mr. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Chris?
Sir.
Thank you so much. Item 11, Livingston Parish Planning and Zoning Department. There is 2 specific ones, A being Tenor Cove. This is to accept the roads and improvements into the parish maintenance system and release a $64,000 maintenance bond. Was there anyone here I think I spoke with someone at the parish president's office, and they said it had been approved. Am I correct, Eddie? They had met the parish standards. So is there a motion to accept those roads into the maintenance system and release the bond? Oh, Mr. Dugas?
Yes, sir.
Give us your name and address.
Robert Dugas, Livingston Parish Public Works. I don't know the address at the barn yet. I hadn't memorized it. We do recommend releasing the bond for Tenor Cove and Laurel Lakes at this time. We've done an inspection, and we're comfortable with that right now.
Okay. Is that both of them,
Yes, sir.
Tenor Cove and Hunstock Road? All right.
No, it's Tenor Cove off of Hunstock and Laurel Lakes off of...
Okay, Laurel Lakes off of Burgess Road.
I did the same. I had the same problem.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm glad to know I'm not the only one. Is there a motion to accept the
Motion.
Separate one? for
Okay.
Tenor.
All right, well, let's do Tenor Cove. A motion for that by Mr. Coates,
Yes, sir.
Second.
second by Mr. Mangus. All in favor say yes.
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 Any opposed? That would carry unanimous. And then Laurel Lakes, release, accept the roads into maintenance and release the $120,000 maintenance bond. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Coates,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Joe Purdy. Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Item 12, Livingston Parish Planning and Zoning Commission rezoning. I tell you what, let me skip that particular one right now. Let's go ahead and pick up addendum A1, if you don't mind. We'll address this right now. Addendum A1. This said, were you able to put this in a resolution form? And I've tried to explain this the best I could. But you want to read it?
I did it as steps, and I can put it in resolution form.
Okay.
The first is to request, the property owner must request to have the rezoning done at the planning department. A notice will be sent to the Livingston Parish Council office and by the planning department. Planning will put in the request for zoning, and after their due diligence, planning must vote to approve or deny, and their recommendation will be brought to the council.
So what this basically is it's a resolution to provide clarification for the process of zoning in this parish. So there's no more question on the process. If a property wants to get rezoned, there's a process, and if we agree, this is how it needs to happen. It needs to, and this resolution says that first, the council will be notified of your request to rezone, and it'll also go and it'll go to the Livingston Parish Planning and Zoning Commission. At that point, they will hear the property owner's request to zone their property or rezone, and they will make a decision either approving or denying that request. And from there, it will come to the council with their recommendation, either to approve or deny, and then we will make the final decision on uphold their recommendation, whether it be to approve or deny or overturn their recommendation, and the final decision will be made by the council. So as long as we all agree, this will be clarified by the council, so there's no more confusion for administration and the people in this parish on how to get your property zoned. So,
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Ricky Goff.
Second.
Second by Mr. Dean Coates. Is there any more discussion?
This is just on A1, right?
This is just for A1, yes, sir. Call for the vote, Miss Sandy.
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Goff?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. Artie?
Yes.
Mr. Shavers?
Yes.
Mr. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Let's go back to item 12 now. Livingston Parish Planning and Zoning Commission rezoning. These are some specific properties that are requesting to be rezoned. Again, these were part of the reason because of these is why we had to make this clarification of resolution, clarifying the process. So is anyone from the parish president's office? Mr. Taylor, well, item A. Item A.
Okay.
Please do.
All right, and thank you for clarifying the process for us. And everybody.
Is that helpful? I mean,
Yeah, no, we get calls and
now
calls every day. And
nobody
yes.
knew what to do. Now
No,
we have
very
a set policy and procedure to rezone your property in this parish.
That's correct. So good deal. So item A, we've actually followed that process. We filled out application request for rezoning, went through that process. We went to the zoning board. Their recommendation was to send it to the council without a recommendation to let you guys vote on it. So that's what we're here to talk about. So we've been through that process, went to zoning, now we're through your guys. Basically, we met with planning back in July, August, well actually as early as March, but we submitted for a site plan for a RV boat and storage at the corner of 16 and 22. They just put a roundabout down there heading towards Maurepas. And I think we've addressed all comments from the parish review engineer and met all the ordinances. The only thing it did not meet was the zoning, so we could never get on an agenda because of that. And we've been waiting over 6 months to do that. So it's right now currently zoned small neighborhood business.
And you want to go to 1.5 residential.
When we want to go to, that is incorrect. We would like to go to C1.
Commercial, okay, well, it's
so,
not.
So if you go to the ordinance and the zoning, if you look at small neighborhood business and you look at C1, the first 12 allowable uses are exactly the same. And the only difference is if you go to C1, it allows for about 5 extra uses, and 2 of those is vehicle sales, rentals, and services, boat sales, rentals, and services, which the RV boat and storage RV boat and storage would fall under that zoning. So it's right there at a intersection. It's pretty busy. The whole thing's small neighborhood business. You got a car wash, pool hall and lounge, gas stations. So this kind of fits the area as well. So we would like to request that it be rezoned. And once that happens, it would allow us to go to planning task for preliminary site.
Okay, is there any more particular items on this one that you can
I'm here for F.
give us information on, or no?
Well, I'd like to finish discussing A, and then, yes, item 12F, I'm here for that as well.
Go ahead and pick up 12F, then we'll just take care of both of them. This is in Mr. Coates' district also.
Yes, this is kind of actually pretty simple. Just
Is this from AG to R1 also?
AG to R1, single family, rural, single family. The lady owns 3 acres and she wants to give her son 1 acre. But because it's zoned agricultural, she's not allowed to create a 1 acre tract, so it needs to be single family rural R1 to create that 1 acre tract to give to her son. Got the map ready, done all the work. It's just we haven't been able to get in front of a board to ask for rezoning until today.
Okay, so is that the only 2 ones you have information on?
Yes, sir.
You don't know about item C 13321, Highway 16, do you?
Not that I'm aware of.
That's okay. Mr. Coates, these are all 3 in your district. Are you okay with approving the zoning for these? If so, we'll do it right now.
Well, I think we should follow the procedure we just put in, or we're about to put in place.
It's in place.
Okay, well then, yeah, we should probably follow that procedure.
All right, so.
Not to delay you any further, but we're just taking up these issues.
No, I agree, and I think, like I said, for especially item A, I think we followed that procedure. We made the application, we went to a zoning meeting, they sent a recommendation to you guys to send it to you to vote on without their recommendation. So we could go back another month, and then they could come back the next month.
Would you be okay with doing
and say
just
the
that
same
one
thing
since
to
they
y'all.
went through that same procedure we just adopted, or you want to send them all back through?
The procedure was kind of in place, if I interject. The procedure was basically in place, but there was a lot of confusion on the election and then the new people in and out, and they just didn't know for sure what to do. But the procedure, all we're doing for the resolution is clarifying it just to make sure that it's clear that we'll send that to them, that this is the process. But I think the application is how he ended up in front of that committee to start with. So, and I think that's why the committee sent it to us with no recommendations, because they didn't know for sure if they had the ability to make a ruling on the zoning thing or not. I just hate for them to have to wait another month, but whatever your wish is.
And I'd just like to add, I think now that this is clarified, I think probably, I know my few of these that we've been dealing with, we've been waiting over 6 months. But once you get past this first little group of them, I think that everything, the process is going to be there.
These are some that carried over. I think they got through the loophole, but.
So, I said, one of them's a lady trying to give her kid an acre.
I don't
and the
have
other
a
one's in
problem
commercial
supporting these
corridor.
zoning changes today, but it's District 8.
I don't want to be hard, but I'm a rule follower. And I think that we put a rule in place, and we need to follow that rule. And I hope that doesn't inconvenience you too much. But when they sent it over, without a recommendation. Is that correct?
That's correct. And they can do that at any time for any project. Well, a year from now, any project can go before the planning and zoning, and if they don't feel comfortable, they can send it to you without recommendation, and it has happened before.
Sure, and that's fine. But now we have a process in place, so let's just follow the process.
Okay, so would a motion? Would you be okay with a motion to send items 12A, which is, and 12C and 12F, which are in items in your district? You want to send those back to the Planning Commission to go through the process? Is that what your motion is?
Hang on just a second, please.
A, C, and F, right?
A, C, and F.
And just for my clarification, so I can let our clients know, what's the interpretation of the rule that we did not follow?
I'm sorry?
You say you're a rule follower?
No, it's a rule that we just created.
Yeah, and I agree, but I'm just saying, how did we not follow it? I just got to answer to our clients. But like I said, I think we went through the process. So you're saying because they didn't.
Okay, well,
get
I'm
a
not
yes
here to
or no?
debate this with you, sir. We have a rule that you go back to the planning and zoning. They will give a recommendation, and they'll bring it back before the council. I think we should stay with what the law is at this point.
So you're saying is because they did not give a recommendation is why you want to go back?
That's correct.
I just want to be able to pass
Yes,
that
sir.
along.
I got a question. Yeah. On C, you in agriculture right now, and you want to go to C1. Is that what you're asking for?
No, that's F.
F, yes, sir.
Okay, F. I'm sorry. Okay. That's the question. You want to go to C1. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, is it okay if I show him something that was submitted
Sure,
by
go ahead,
planning?
go ahead.
That's the difference.
What's that?
This is what we submitted to planning. I got it mixed up. Yeah, we submitted this back in September. Okay. But that's what I was going to clarify too. It's got addresses. We probably need to put track designations as well. Okay, well, thank you for your time.
You want to put that in the motion to send those, your item 8, District 8, back to the Planning Commission for zoning approval?
Yes.
Is there a second for you? Second by Mr. Joe Erdy. Call for the vote. Is there? Go ahead. Just on items A, C, and F, because I want to turn to Mr. Ricky Goff for item District 7 to let him make the recommendation.
We're doing C as well?
Yes, A,
A,
C,
C, and F.
12 AC.
12, A, C, and F.
Well, John,
Mr. Watts.
we might as well hear this because we don't want to contradict ourselves by allowing one and not the other. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay, well, Ricky, do you
Well, I
want
mean,
to
do you have a
send all
problem?
yours back to the planning commission as well?
Make a motion, we approve mine.
Okay, well, then let's,
I feel comfortable the rule aspect that was already in place. It's just no one knew for sure exactly what, and everybody was just confused, so it was kind of moving the puck around. But this gentleman's already been through that and went to that committee and stood in front of that committee, and that committee actually sent us a non-recommendation, and we absolutely have the ability and authority to make the final decision, no matter what they send to us. So from
If
my
you'd like to do that on yours, you're more than welcome to do
that's what I
that.
do. I just
so that's why I'm splitting them up. Does that answer your question, Lon? Yeah. Are you okay with that? I mean, you got another?
Well, I mean,
it is what it is.
Hold on.
it seems like to me, you allow one and not the other.
Well, I'm leaving it up to the councilman for that district how to design.
I got you. I
mean,
understand.
that's what I'm doing.
No, I understand.
You know, because
I agree with you, Lonnie.
but after
if we're
this
making a
tonight,
rule,
we're all
we have to follow the rule.
it's going to all be going from the back to the planning commission and to the council.
I just hate to tell this man no.
And tell this man yes.
Right.
Oh, real quick, Mr. Mangus.
All right, I want to ask a question. Would they have to start over from planning, or would they pick up, because it is a new planning and zoning commission for the most part. So would these be expedited or not? That's the only.
Just to point one thing out too, item F came to the council sent it to planning and zoning, they sent it back to y'all. So we sent it back to them and they sent it back to y'all. Like some point, I don't know.
Well, this is the
I
last
guess if it comes
point
back
because
again without a recommendation again, will we say we followed the process and vote on it, or?
So,
that's a good question, actually.
Dean, these have already been through the planning commission. I mean, we just voted the rules to go to planning commission and zoning and then come to us, correct? And these have already been there. Why would you not support these?
We didn't establish a rule in our last resolution.
but we just established a rule before we come to this conversation.
We established a clarification of what the process actually is, so there's no more confusion like what's going on at this table right now. The process and the guidelines and the process of them.
I understand where you're going, Ricky. I don't need to be giving a lecture on it. I'm just saying that if we are establishing rules and we are the governing authority of our parish, then what are we doing to violate the rule? I'm a rule follower. I'm a follow the rules, and we just set some rules in play.
And they have followed those rules.
Right. But it's...
Okay, well, let's take a vote.
Fine. Let's take a vote.
Mr. Burgess.
Yes, I actually have a rezoning in Ricky's districts on the
You got one coming up also?
Yeah, I have the one, the D on that.
Burgess Road.
For Burgess Road.
Indeed, okay.
Right, and I'll be brief and kind of get into the talk with it. My rezoning is because my property is broken up into multiple tracts, and my zoning is from R1 to Ag. I got multiple zonings on my property. I'm just trying to get changed to one zoning. So that's why I requested, and I started back 6 months back also, worked with planning. When Tracy was there, I contacted Tracy, let him know I was doing this, that type of deal. So we've been through everything, like Dean, like you had just said, Mr. Coates, what you just said. And I fully respect, Mr. Coates, what you said, but also this adjustment that y'all just voted on was put ahead of this. If you had, my opinion was the adjustment should probably put in after this.
The resolution that we just passed?
That's correct. Because at this point, myself, like Billy, we went through the process. I let the councilman know, made an application, did all that. There was some delays because of the newspaper guidelines for advertising it. So we've been through this process since about July.
Okay.
And did the planning commission, and they sent you basically what their thoughts were. Not necessarily yes or no, but a no vote.
They didn't have a recommendation.
That's correct.
Well, the new resolution asked them to have a recommendation.
Correct.
So I think it'll be cleared up in the future. But
right, it's cleared up in the future, but I think just I think we probably put the cart before the horse on getting these particular ones approved because of the confusion. And I think that's rude.
Yes,
Am I right with that, Mr. Coates?
Yes, I can appreciate exactly what you said.
Yeah, so we probably should have looked at approving these before making the resolution.
Before making that, right.
So the best we can do from now is move forward.
Right.
So let's go ahead and pick up the motion on the table by Mr. Dean Coates to send items A, C, and F back to through the process, back to the Planning and Zoning Commission to give a recommendation. That's seconded by Mr. Joe Erdy. Ms. Sandy, you want to call for the vote? And that we're not talking about item District 7 yet. You don't call for the vote, Ms.
This is
Sandy?
12A, 12C, and 12F.
Yes.
All located in Council District 8. Mr. Mangus.
Yes.
Mr. Goff.
With respect for my fellow councilman, yes, ma'am.
Mr. Watts.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Wascom.
No.
Mr. Erdy.
Yes.
Mr. Shavers.
Yes.
Mr. Coates.
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
All right, now let's go ahead and pick up items B, Delta, D, and Echo, F. Mr. Ricky Goff, these specific properties are located in your district. Do you want to send these back to the parish, or do you want to approve these as the last, as they're written to rezone?
I'd like to make the motion we pass them as written. I checked all of them today with the water and all that stuff, so.
You think the zoning is in order?
Yeah.
Motion by Mr. Ricky Goff to rezone these properties. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Mr. Ryan Shavers. Is there any more discussion? Ms. Sandy, you want to call for the vote?
Mr. Mangus.
Out of respect for my fellow councilman, yes.
Mr. Goff.
Yes.
Mr. Watts.
Yeah.
Whatever
Mr.
your heart
Wascom?
says, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Erdy.
Yes.
Mr. Shavers.
No.
You made the second, though.
Yes.
Mr. Coates.
No.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
Did that one pass?
Sir.
All right, so Ricky's is approved to rezone, and Mr. Coates will go through the process again. Item 13, public hearing and adoption of ordinance LP. I'm sorry. Oh, I have two people to speak. Do you have something that you want? I'll call you in seconds. Go ahead.
Brandon Browning. I'm here representing the administration, parish president's office. Not to confuse anything anymore, but we're seeking some clarification, I guess you could say. Through many conversations we've had with people that are much smarter than I am, we're getting some conflicting information whether or not if we actually have a zoning commission. So we need some clarification on what ordinance that is that establishes that zoning commission. Provide that ordinance for us, and also, explain to us what the qualifications may be for those people that are on the zoning commission. Maybe some standard operating procedures or guidelines that they follow. We're just looking for some guidance on how to best proceed on that.
Well, that's a good question. I wish you'd asked me this question before tonight's meeting. We could have had something here for you. Sandy, do we have any kind of ordinances that established an ordinance committee, a zoning commission?
We do, yes. And Caroline just went and got state law.
Okay, I tell you what, can you get a copy to Mr. Brandon? And, oh, he's got one. Okay. You know what? Let's don't take any action since this is not on the agenda and you caught me by surprise. So, but get with me after the meeting. We'll put together whatever's needed to end the clarification on the establishment of a Livingston Parish Zoning Commission. Now, I think that's what your question is. So get with me after the meeting, and if we have to draft something by resolution, by ordinance, or even the home rule charter, we'll make it happen. So, but for the history and for the past, we have been referring to our planning as the Livingston Parish Planning and Zoning Commission. So until we can get something, let's just continue to using them as our Livingston Parish Planning and Zoning Commission. Was there someone else wanting to speak?
My name's Ed Braithwaite. I live at 20881 LA Highway 42. And my main reason for even coming tonight was the vague part on this item 12 says that the zoning commission sends these items to the council with no recommendations. And my point is coming up here is to see, well, why do you even have a planning and zoning if you are not going to make a recommendation? Because you do have a hearing before the planning and zoning where people who agree with it can present their case and those who disagree with it can present their case. And when you get something from the planning and zoning here with no recommendation, it's like, well, did anybody show up to oppose it? Did anybody show up to in favor of it? And so I am glad to hear that they are to come back with a recommendation, either yay or nay, to clarify that point. And I think that is a good thing that we need to do, and just to say no recommendation is seems to me like you have a useless committee. So that's my point.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Can we speak? Can I speak to that?
That's not even not on the agenda, but let's let someone in the audience. But come on up. The gentleman behind you. Can you try to keep it short if you don't mind?
Cody Mesh, 18970 Highway 444, Livingston. All this talk about the zoning.
Correct.
With the debacle from last year that had the zoning thrown out, when is that going to be taken back up and completed before we start changing zoning that's there, yes, not there, whatever?
Mr. Vegas.
That's part of the problem that we're running into is, from what we understand, is the zoning was never done as an ordinance that they could zone, that the parish council zoned, and then we determined that. Planning just approved that they followed the ordinances that we gave them. So they really weren't a planning and zoning commission, they were more of a planning commission. And the planning department, under the parish president, from what I understand, they can do zoning requests or resubs if it doesn't require any kind of waiver.
Well, I'm not generally speaking about waivers or otherwise. I'm talking about establishing the zoning that was tossed last year. Because some were accepted, a lot were tossed. So we're back in that same boat again. So my question is, when is that going to be addressed while everybody's still asking for waivers and zoning changes and stuff of that effect?
All right. Well, we currently have one moment. Currently, we have 4 districts that are zoned in this parish. 5 of the 9 are not zoned. So I guess, we're debating on whether to rescind all zoning and bring it all back in one time, or to continually add the ones that are not zoned into the zoning. So these are questions that we still have to get answered. So to answer your question, we're working on that. Okay, I mean, it's not a quick process. It takes time of zoning, because council members have to have input, have to have public town hall meetings before you can zone a specific district. You have to have so many. It's just a major process, and we're working on with a planner to get that done. Let's get the last one, because we got a lot of stuff to cover. Miss Abby Crosby.
Crosby, 19866 LA Highway 42, Livingston, Louisiana, 70754. The information that Mr. Browning was asking for that y'all provided, could you read us that
state law? The
state law.
Can you give her a copy of that?
Can we just read it, because there's people watching and they left earlier because they didn't think it was going to be presented, so they wanted to be able to know about it. Can you just read the state law?
That's a lot to read, Abby.
I'll read it.
It wasn't even on.
That's a lot of state law to read in the middle of a council meeting. I got a lot of stuff to cover. I mean, We adopted the state law? Okay, so that does clarify that we have planning and zoning. It was passed by ordinance.
Okay, can you give me the ordinance number? What is it? 2236. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's continue before we get bogged down. Item 13, the public hearing adoption of LP ordinance number 2353. This was a recommendation of the Livingston Parish Planning and Zoning Commission, servitude revocation. Ms. Sandy, you want to read this by title?
Sir. This is a map showing the survey of a revocation of the westernmost 20-foot of a 60-foot private all-purpose servitude on lots A1, A2, B1, and B2 located in Section 3, Township 9, South Range 4, East Greensburg Land District, Village of French Settlement, Livingston Parish, Louisiana, from Michael Meads being particularly described herein.
All right, so this particular servitude revocation was introduced at the last council meeting, so this was Michael Meads, I believe. Is he here? Does anyone have any questions? We all voted to introduce it at the last council meeting, so if
I am not Michael Meads, I'm Seth Mosby, I'm the surveyor, 16709 Amy Lane, French Settlement.
Can you give us a quick explanation of what?
Quick recap is the servitude ordinance used to be 40 feet and went to 60 feet.
That's right.
This man divided his property, gave a 60-foot servitude. The next month voted to reduce it back down to 40 feet. He's just trying to get back 20 feet of usable property.
Is there a motion?
A motion.
By Mr. Taylor. Second by Mr. Mangus. Is there any more discussion? Call for the vote, Ms. Sandy.
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Goff?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. Artie?
Yes.
Mr. Shavers?
Yes.
Mr. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, is there a way that you can make a recommendation to the committee, the ordinance committee, to move that back to the 60-foot? Because, I mean,
It's the
servitude right away.
The law?
Yes, because right now it is at 40 foot. Is that what you're saying? That's what
He had a waiver. It was 40, it moved to 60, then there were so many requests for waivers at 60 on these little 200, 300 feet long streets, so they moved it back down to 40 for these items.
The problem is if these streets ever go, and I understand the pushback, right? Because I can't give you that much servitude. I mean, but we got to make the tough decisions. And at the end of the day, if we take that road in at 40 feet, we don't have enough road to do a blacktop road.
A road also has to be 1,056 foot long in order to be taken over and 5 addressable units. So even if you had 40 feet and you didn't meet those criteria, you couldn't take it over anyway.
I understand that in that particular scenario, but any right of way that we have, in my opinion, if it's a reasonable length, and that's something the ordinance committee can look at.
I'll make sure that makes it to the agenda for the ordinance committee.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Public hearing and adoption of ordinance 24-01. Mr. Mickey McMorris, I believe. What this is the 2024 budget that we did not adopt in December of last year. We introduced it at the last council meeting, but I believe there's going to be some changes. Am I correct, Mickey?
Yes, sir. We want to offer up some amendments on these.
Okay.
We want to make it reflective of the parish president's priorities.
Okay. So do we have to, there are some amendments. Do you want to give us those amendments verbally now, or?
I can highlight them if you would like. I mean,
is it quick or is it an all day?
Well, it's quite extensive, but I mean, a lot of it is, by program and reduction in salaries. You'll see quite a few of those.
But this is a list of them right here, correct?
Yeah, you have been presented with the
2024 budget with
and
the
you'll
amendments.
see 24 original is what you have, and then we have the 24 amended, and then you'll see plus and minus on the last
Okay,
column.
so this is the 24, and that's the amended.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what we probably need to do is let's go ahead and have a public hearing, I guess, for the adoption of the budget.
Okay.
So But we're going to have, once we go through it, is there anyone to have any input? I'll declare a public hearing open. Is anyone to speak for or against our 2024 adoption of budget? Ms. Sandy, would you read this by title during the public hearing?
This is an ordinance adopting the 2024 budget of the Livingston Parish President Council relative to the general fund, special revenue funds, debt service funds, and capital improvement funds.
All right. What we would need to do is, let's go ahead, and is anyone here to speak for or against it? Then I'm going to close the public hearing and get back to against the budget. You want to come up to the microphone and say something about the 2024 budget we fixing to adopt?
That budget, the budget that you present tonight, does not represent my community budget equally. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's a fair budget, so I don't think it ought to be approved. That's my objection to it. And until my community gets its portion of the budget, I don't think it ought to be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. All right. Any more? None being, I'll close the public hearing. What we probably need to do is...
I thank Mr. McKee.
Mr. Chairman.
He's waiting on me.
Okay.
What we need to do is get a motion to amend the 2024 budget with the, is that correct, Sandy? Yes. So we need to have a motion to amend the 2024 budget.
Motion to amend the 2024
with the
budget.
new amendments that they've put together. A motion by Mr. Dean Coates. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. John Mangus. Any discussion on that? Ms. Sandy, you call for the vote on that.
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Goff?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. Artie?
Yes.
Mr. Shavers?
Yes.
Mr. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
All right, the next line in order would be to adopt the 2024 budget as amended. Is there a motion?
Motion to adopt the 2024.
Motion by Mr. Dean Coates. Second. Okay, is there a second by Mr. Mangus? Okay, now discussion. Mr. McMorris.
I do have a couple of errors on what you have. They're minor.
On the amended?
Yes, sir.
On the amendments? Okay.
So if we could...
you got Dental Springs in there, right? I'm just
I mean,
sure Dental Springs in there.
It's certainly all inclusive. And,
I know that.
And at no time have we tried to eliminate anyone in this budget for sure. So I think we're trying to help all the citizens of the parish. But one amendment to offer a run correction on the coroner's office. On line item for utilities, we'd like to make that $10,000. We had it at $7,500. And for maintenance of buildings and grounds, make that $3,217.
What was it at? What was it at?
We had it at, actually, I think I had that at zero, which he has a new building that will incur utilities that we don't know exactly when that facility would be up and running, but we anticipate before the end of the year.
Okay.
And then items. It's the coronavirus budget. I had a negative fund balance. You can't carry a negative fund balance, so we made that adjustment to the grants portion where it was 31,169. We'll correct that to 24,352, and that's a net of zero. So
okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. McMorris, thank you so much. And this will be the 2024 budget. Let me say this, that we didn't adopt this in the end of the year like is normally done, and we carried this over into 2024. However, this probably won't happen again. With the new administration, they will have a budget. All this stuff will come to the Finance Committee. It'll be hashed out, and then it'll come to the council by the end of the year, so we'll have a lot more input and time to really study the budget for the next coming year. So is there any chance you would be bringing an amended budget in 6 months, Mickey, or are you still looking at waiting for a whole year?
Well, obviously, a budget of this size is complicated, and I'm new at this, and as well as most of the council members. So we are going to work very closely with your finance committee, and as expenditures come in, we will probably come for more amendments this first year, or we can offer up, as the prior administration did, resolutions because as you know, the grants are tremendous, and they work on their own time schedule. So as we work with those and they come in, that's going to be the glitch in this process. But we're making strides to get on top of that.
I believe you'll do a great job, Nick. I have no doubt. So we had a motion and a second, Ms. Sandy.
I have a question. Because these corrections have been made, they're really amendments, so can the council vote to include these amendments and then vote to adopt as amended?
Okay, I thought the amended, we did that.
Y'all just voted to amend it with the ones that are included in your handouts.
Do you have the ones that he wanted the changes that he...
He came back later after y'all voted.
Is there a motion to add those to the amendment?
Make a motion to add those.
Motion by Mr.
Make a motion.
Mangus, seconded by Mr. Dean Coates. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries. Now we need to adopt the ordinance as amended, correct? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Taylor made the motion.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Joe Erdy. Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? We now have a 2024 budget. Ms. Sandy.
I was speaking with Mr. McMorris before the meeting, and he is in dire need of the council to lift the agenda for a time-sensitive matter for the parish president to be able to be signatory for banking.
Okay, that's right. What this is, real quick, council, as the new administration took office, the old administration left. Well, when they went to sign checks, the banks are like, we don't recognize the new parish president's signature. We show them oath of offices. They still don't want to do it. They need a resolution from this council authorizing giving permission to the banks to let Mr. Mickey McMorris, Mr. Randy DeLatte, and Mr. Jimmy Gilbert sign checks. Is that correct?
Actually, we were going to ask that the president specifically named, and he will be able to appoint who he would want to.
Appointees.
So the resolution needs to say what, Sandy?
To appoint the parish president as signatory for all parish bank accounts and authorize him to have 2 additional appointees as he deems necessary.
All right, is there a motion? That's a motion.
Do we need to lift the agenda to do that?
First, the
All right,
agenda's
is there a
ready.
motion to lift the agenda? Now, this motion has to pass unanimous, so motion by Mr. Mangus, seconded by Mr. Goff, to lift the agenda and pick up this item. All in favor say yes.
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 Is there any opposed? This item has now been lifted. Now, is there a motion to authorize Mr. DeLatte to sign checks and appoint 2 people to sign for him?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Joe Erdy.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Billy Taylor. Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
That motion carries.
Motion to go back to agenda.
Back to regular agenda. All in favor? Motion, Ricky Goff, second by Mr. Lonnie Watts. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All right. Motion carries back in the regular. What's that, Cindy?
Thank you very, very much.
All right. Mickey, thank you. Where were we at, y'all?
We are
17.
on number
15, public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance 24-02. This is Mr. Dean Coates. Ms. Sandy, before we get started, would you read this ordinance by title, please?
Okay, this is proposed ordinance 24-02. It's an ordinance to provide for the extension of a 160-day parish-wide moratorium that was previously adopted on August 24, 2023, being LP ordinance number 23-30. By extending the said moratorium for an additional 12 months that will prohibit the Stage 1 preliminary meeting of any applications for a preliminary plat for a subdivision with improvements, a subdivision without improvements, and multifamily developments, or until the adoption of an updated zoning ordinance, whichever occurs first.
All right, we had that motion, that ordinance was introduced at the last council meeting. I'll hereby declare a public hearing open. Is anyone to speak for or against this specific ordinance? None being. All right, I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion? adopt.
I'll make the motion to adopt it.
Motion by Mr. Joe Erdy to adopt it.
I second.
Second by Mr. Billy Taylor, Council District 3. Any discussion from the council? Let's call for the vote.
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Goff?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. Erdy?
Yes.
Mr. Shavers?
Yes.
Mr. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
All right.
One more small thing. I don't know if we opened the public hearing for the quitclaim.
What item? Huh?
For Seth Mosby for the quitclaim. I'd hate for it to have to go back on the agenda for not opening and closing the public
What
hearing.
item was that?
13, for the quitclaim for Michael Meads on LA
We
Highway
read by
16.
title, didn't we?
We read it by title, but I don't think we opened and closed the public hearing.
Is there anyone here? I hereby declare public hearing. Is anyone here to speak for or against Mr. Michael Mead's property that we did the servitude
Been
already?
voted on, but we had to have a public hearing open
All right.
and closed.
Is anyone here to speak for or against? None being, I'll close the public hearing. You good with that? All right.
So much.
You know, let me just say, Miss Sandy Till works really hard in this office, and the experience that she brings to this council is really it's valuable. And I want to say thank you, Sandy, for all your work and just keeping us on track and not letting the small things slip by, because unlike Mr. Dean, I'm not always the perfect rule follower, but and I appreciate you keeping me on track, and I want to obey them. It's just they escape me. So thank you so much. Item 17, adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver to subdivide in the name subdivision Sims Road Estate for Jacqueline Smith located on Sims Road. This is in Mr. Ryan Shaver's district. Mr. Taylor, did you want to speak on this, if you would?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is a re-subdivision of property off Sims Road. There's a lady that owns a lot next to her. She has two daughters, and she wants to divide it in half and give each daughter one tract of land. So it meets all the rules and ordinances as far as lot sizes and everything currently. The only hiccup is this: if you look back at the older plat where the tract was created, it is a named subdivision, so it requires a waiver. And I can go into that. I know we've talked about that pretty extensively in the past, but if you want me to expound on that, Ryan? Yeah, you can. Okay. So I think the person that authored that original ordinance to make that waiver request necessary, and he said it publicly here before, that he made that in his mind. He was, when he says subdivision, he's thinking of subdivision. You go down the road, house, and then once that got enacted, they were starting to see a whole lot of waiver requests because there's a lot of rural property that just has the name attached to it on the plat. So his intent was for a subdivision, but this ends up falling into it. So it's been brought up several times. They thought about removing it. Got towards the end of last year, I think they just said, well, hey, we're going to leave it for y'all to decide. So that's kind of where we're at. It's not in a real subdivision. It's it's in kind of a rural tract of land. They got properties, each side that have all been subdivided. One within this past year. So we're with, that's where we're at.
This is in your district, Ms. Shavers. You familiar with it? You're good with it?
No. So I'm not committing to it right now, but I've talked to the homeowner. I've had conversations with Paul and Billy. I'm not a fan of waivers, but I am willing to go out to this property and meet with her and just lay eyes on it. As I've spoke to her and I've told Paul the same thing. But I just need to do a little bit more research on it. The timing just didn't work for me as to when I was notified of it versus, tonight's meeting. So I'd like to defer it to the next council meeting until I can further investigate this.
All right.
Ryan, it's just between now and then, if there's any other questions that we haven't answered already, just let us know.
Thank you, Billy. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much, Billy. Item 18, adopt a resolution mandating a requirement of any board created by the Livingston Parish Council or by the Parish Council to provide a 5-year plan of how to renew or how the renewal or the new tax funds will be appropriated and must be submitted to the council 1 month prior to being placed on the agenda to call for an election. I thought this was a pretty good resolution by Mr. Shavers. You want to talk about this and explain this?
Thank you, John. So what this item is for any time we have a renewal on a tax, or that any board is requesting a renewal or a new tax, that board, whether it be a rec board, a library board, the gravity drainage board, whatever, anytime they are requesting a new tax, they must provide a 5-year plan and present it before the council. And I think this is a transparency thing to let the taxpayers know where their money is going. So, for example, the rec board, if they're making improvements to the park and they're wanting a renewal, they must provide a 5-year plan before the council. And that way the council has an educated vote, and so do the people of the parish. And I think that's so important to be transparent with all of you, to let you know where your money is going. And when you go behind that curtain, you know what you're voting on, if it's something that you're interested in or if it's something that you're not. So I'd appreciate the support from the council on it. And I just want to say that the taxpayers need to be heard in these kind of instances. And I think this 5-year plan is doable.
Motion by Mr. Ryan Shavers.
Yep.
Seconded by Mr. Ricky Goff. Is there any discussion on this? None being? Ms. Sandy, call for the vote.
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Goff?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. Erdy?
Yes.
Mr. Shavers?
Yes.
Mr. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
I would like to say, Mr. Shavers, fantastic legislation, buddy. Fantastic. Thank you. I've been in government for 20-some years, and it's good to hear that.
Thank you.
Coming from the youngest person on the council, I just want you to know the future of Livingston is strong.
Yes, sir.
I believe
Yes,
that.
sir.
Adopt a resolution to take Gotro Lane in Council District 6 out of the parish maintenance system. Mr. John, is this we're going to pull this one?
No. I spoke with him tonight, so.
Okay.
Yeah, let me indulge me to talk about this for just a minute.
Absolutely.
Mr. Mark Fredericks, he's an alderman in the village of Port Vincent, and the two landowners on the street, Gotro Lane, this is not Gitro Lane, this is not the one in French Settlement, not M. This is the one in Port Vincent. It is not a throughway. It is a one-way in road. The Mike Meyer and John Doris are the owners, and they have had a substantial problem with crime and what they consider drug use and whatever on the property, and they want to protect their renters and the two property owners by making it a gated road, by providing a gate, and they want to save us, the parish, money basically by taking it out of
the maintenance system.
So we would no longer be obligated, the sign would go from blue to red. We would no longer be obligated to maintain it. Mr. Whalen, the chief over there, is okay with it. The only homeowners on it are okay with it. Mr. Fredericks would be here to speak tonight. However, he has flooding issues that he's dealing with from the extensive rain. We were going to put it off, but he asked if we could do it, and so I'm just asked the council to greatly consider.
Motion by Mr. John Mangus to adopt this resolution. Question. Well, real quick, is there a second for that?
Well, no, I have a question right
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get the question. Second by Mr. Goff. Mr. Watts, you got the first question.
Yeah, is it blacktop?
That's a question that I went to go see it, but I couldn't get there today. So I could ask him. I don't know that. I apologize.
Mr. Coates,
ladies, do we know? Okay.
Yes, Mr. Mangus. Has anyone verified with the other residents on the street whether or not they were want to be included in this?
Yeah, there are only two owners of the street. That is a Mike Meyer and a John Doris, and their renters are all in favor of it.
Okay. Are they aware that they won't be able to come back into the maintenance system after doing this action?
Yes, they would have to apply to do all that, but they have no intent of doing that.
Okay.
The only concern I got is we spent money on blacktopping this road. If we spent this kind of money on blacktopping, I mean, you open the door for everybody to put a gate on their blacktop. If you understand what I'm saying on this, if it's gravel, it's one thing, but I mean, the cost of asphalt and stuff, it's something we might want to look at,
Good point.
It is a good point, but we're not going to have to maintain it anymore. So
I mean, I understand that, but I mean, at 300,000 a mile, you know what I'm saying?
We'll have one more comment. Mr. Clemens, you want to say something?
Brian Clemens, 34332 Robbie Lee Drive. I just want to clarify, if you're going to remove a road from the parish system, will you also relinquish the right-of-way as well as the servitudes? That needs to be a package deal if you're going to let a road go. Thank you.
Does that also include any ditch maintenance or anything that goes along with that? So they'll be no longer underneath the parish at all. They'll be responsible for everything. So they can't come back in 4 years and go, oh, we're losing half our road because the ditch is washing out.
Right, and I was very adamant about that, and I checked with the Ms. Teal in his office, and she said, yes, tell him that. And so he knows they don't even have ditches on the road from what we're seeing, right?
John, I have a question, please.
Yes.
You said there's 2 owners, right?
Yes.
Okay, is there any other beyond those 2 owners living on that road, or that's it? That's the only 2
Just renters.
That's it?
It's a lot of RVs and things like that, and trailers.
Okay, and everybody's okay with this?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I can postpone it if you want it all in writing, but he asked for it. He is an alderman. The chief is fine with it. It's going to save us money. But I do admit your point that we did spend money.
Yeah, if you don't, and I'm just looking what on this computer right here. It seems to be a lot of distance in it. You know what I'm saying? Is
it dead end?
It's not a dead end, and it's a very lengthy road. It does have renters on it, but there's a lot of renters. I know I motioned and made the second, but I would have to ask that you maybe take a look at it, because he needs to understand as well. I think that it's a possibility that the mail carriers wouldn't go down it. There's a possibility that your school bus. There's some questions there too, because it's a private road. They may say you got to move mailboxes out to the front. I know that's the way it is on a lot of them.
You are correct. If it comes out of parish maintenance, the post office will not go down it.
Right.
I don't think the school buses will travel it either.
I asked him about the school buses, and it was that they would go to a central location, like in the front.
They have to walk out to catch the bus.
And I think what he means by the gate is the gate would keep people from coming in from one way, but not the other. Like they can't go through down the road. That's the problem. The residents could get out to the main highway, but you can't get back. And that's what, there's people that don't live there that come into Guitro Lane, and that's where they think the drugs and the other problems are. But if you want, we could table it to next.
Revisit it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll leave it up to the council.
That's your what?
Change your motion to that effect.
Can I change my motion?
You could withdraw it and then
Defer until
defer it.
February 8th.
The next council meeting, or whatever your pleasure is.
If we don't think
I think that's the right thing to do, because I think you got there is some questions there, and looking at that thing right there, I don't think the owner's going to be here, but I think a lot of those renters probably will show up. Not that they have any recourse from us, but before
they wouldn't be trapped. That's like they wouldn't be trapped. They couldn't get out.
Right.
No, but I
But
feel like
if they can't get no mail,
your 911 services will probably be a little confusion on
what's what. Yeah.
What's what.
Yeah.
Each route closer and one.
See the road
inside the city.
If you look at the map, the road does not go. It does dead end. Like that's what he meant.
So where do you access the road from? Here?
Yeah, well, probably from Highway 16, right? Yeah, by a hole in the wall. Yeah, exactly. And so that's where he wants the gate.
But is that inside the village of Port Vincent?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the home, yeah.
Yeah, so the village of Port Vince would have to,
It's in the municipality of Fort Vincent?
He's an alderman.
yeah, he's still going to have to get some kind of information from them to make sure that they want to close it.
That's
Okay,
correct.
Then let's table it.
Okay, you withdraw your motion? All
I'm going to withdraw my motion.
right, that item is being deferred then?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And maybe you could get with, if the Port Vincent will put a resolution together asking and supporting it, then that would make it even easier too, so. Item 20, board reappointments, reassignments. Adopt a resolution to ratify the Louisiana House of Representatives appointment for the Livingston Parish Airport District. The Airport District has multiple people that are appointed, one being the Louisiana House of Representatives, one being the parish president, one the council, and different ones. So to reappoint, I think do you know the name of that person, Miss Sandy?
Yes, sir. Mr. Barry Wall is going to
Barry Wall, you spoke with him today?
Yes, I did.
Dwayne Mack will be taking his place.
And he's good with it?
He's good with it.
And so is there a motion to accept the resignation from Barry Wall and replace him with, what's his name?
Replace it with Wayne Mack.
Wayne Mack. Motion by Mr. Dean Coates. Second by Mr. John Manis. Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Item B, adopt a resolution to accept Jeffrey Wells' resignation from District 3. Mr. Taylor.
Jeffrey Wells probably got one of the best jobs that you can ask for. He is the new governor's lawyer, personal lawyer. So he asked to come to resign off the rec board. I respectfully declined, and he told me that he had to, so I allowed that to happen. So
You want to accept his resignation?
I want to accept his resignation.
And replace him with anyone now, or
yes,
wait?
actually, Blaine Petrie, he's here in the audience tonight. I'd like to put him on the board.
Okay, so the motion to accept the resignation
And to appoint Blaine Petrie on
you
this
said you
board.
have his contact
Is there
information?
any way we can do them separately? So
Yes.
we do letters to them, thanking them for their community service. And it
All right,
just,
motion to accept the Jeffrey Wells resignation by Billy, seconded by Dean Coates. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion carries, and the motion to appoint Mr. Blaine Petrie, seconded by Mr. Dean Coates.
Okay.
Next time. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Mr. Blaine Petrie, congratulations. You now are serving on
The Recreation
Parks
Board.
and Recreation District 3.
You got it.
Get us some more pickleball courts inside. All right? We need pickleball, man. That's for tennis for old people. It's good. Y'all need to try that. Fire Protection District number 5, Mr. Joe Erdy. I think you had a recommendation on this one.
Well, I'm gonna read it off as y'all, Raven gave it to me now on District 9. I'm gonna just start from the top and come down. Richie Neal is gonna be reappointed. He expired, and so he's been reappointed by me. Charles Ray Gill has been reappointed by me. Jamie Alford, who has resigned, is being replaced by Dale Hayden, and I gave the information today, I believe, to y'all. And Brian Berthelot, and it says here President District 1, so he's being reappointed. And Jason Hodge also is being reappointed, and that's the end of the list.
Sandy, can we pick all them up at one time?
yes, absolutely.
All right, motion by Mr. Joe Erdy,
I'll second it.
seconded by Mr. Billy Taylor. Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. Livingston Parish Airport District, Mr. Dean Coates.
All right, I'm going to pull this right now. I'm waiting on a resignation and it hasn't come in. So we're going to wait until
Hold off
next.
on that one?
Yeah, we'll defer to next meeting.
Item F, Master Plan Review Committee. Mr. Mangus, I think you had an appointment on that one, or?
Yes, I would like to appoint Mr. Stephen Smith.
Okay.
If he would stand up and be recognized.
And whose place, do you know whose place he might be taking? Or is that?
Derek Babcock.
Okay, he's taking
Right,
Derek
'cause
Babcock. Mr.
Derek-
Stephen Smith. All right.
Also have one on that.
Well, let's go ahead and, let's get a motion to appoint Mr. Stephen Smith by Mr. Mangus. Is there a second?
A second.
Second, Mr. Doherty. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Now we can applaud. Congratulations. All right.
I also have one underneath the same master plan. I talked to Ms. Sandy.
Go ahead.
So I'd like to reappoint Mr. Gerald Burns. He's been on it from jump.
Mr. Gerald Burns, reappointment. Is there a second to reappoint? Second by Mr. John Mangus. Any discussion? All in favor say yes. Say aloud. Yes. Mr. Gerald, congratulations. Just a little humor there. Okay, this item 21 is adopt a resolution to hire a temporary employee. While Miss Caroline was out, we were able to fortunately reach out to Miss Angie Cornett. She has experience in the parish council's office. She has been here for us, and so what's so nice is that if the ladies have to go out for attending conventions or associations, or they're just out for a week or at a time, what I'd like to have a resolution that would approve Miss Angie Cornett to be brought into the office, because we don't have to go through a training process. They can bring her in a week at a time if needed. Right now, they see no need for her to come in. I've spoken with Mickey. He said, we could revisit this. He'll put some money in the budget for that. We probably, hopefully, there's nothing needed. We don't need to bring her in. But if we adopt this resolution, we don't have to go back through the hoops. We can bring her in.
The office.
Pardon?
Or close the office when we're away at convention or at training.
Exactly. So it's just a procedure, I think, that would be preventative for any problems that we could have in the future. So
smart move.
I move.
Motion by Mr. Mangan, second by Mr. Joe Erdy. Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. We currently do not have a finance committee or an ordinance committee because according to the Home Rule Charter, those committees are to be established by the chairman. At the first meeting of last month, I didn't know if I was even going to be the chairman, but thanks you, council, for choosing me and electing me to be chairman. Let me say this. Thank you for having the confidence in me for doing it. I don't know if I'm thank you for putting me there, but thank you for at least having the confidence. But I've given it some thought. And for finance committee, I think I'd like to appoint as chairman for the finance committee, Mr. John Mangus. He's astute. He's good. He's sharp. I think he's going to work really good with two more council members, Mr. Lonnie Watts and Mr. Joe Erdy, have agreed to serve on that finance committee. And there's also two people that I think can bring some benefits to that committee. Mr. Randy Smith, he serves as a financial advisor to a lot of parks and recreations and taxing districts or special districts in this parish. Randy's fantastic. I'd like to put him and Mr. Robert Bajeron on that committee as well. So also, and then on an ordinance committee.
I'd like to call a point of order on that.
Go ahead, Mr. Coates.
It's my understanding that that subcommittees of the council are typically made of council members. Is that correct?
No, you're not. That's not correct. Next thing I'd like to make is an ordinance committee, and I'd like to put Mr. Dean Coates as the chairman. Do you still want to be chairman for that committee?
I'd like to. I'd like to get a point of order. Real quick.
Well, I just answered. You asked me a question, I answered it for you. The answer is no. So do you,
okay, but I have another question.
Okay, well, I'll give you another question. Go ahead.
Okay. I was informed by someone, I'm not sure what the answer on this is, but we don't have an attorney here to give us a legal opinion on that, and I think that we would need an opinion to determine the status of that.
Who informed you of this?
Well, I'd rather not
well, you don't want to
that.
say.
But
look, I'm asking this. Do you want to serve as chairman on the ordinance committee or not?
Well, what I'm trying to do is determine if we are doing this correctly.
Well, you know what? We're doing this correctly. According to the Home Rule Charter, it's my responsibility to pick a committee. Now, do you want to serve on that committee or not? This is my last time I'm going to ask.
Okay, no, I'll pass.
You don't want to serve as chairman. All right. Well, that kind of throws things out. Is there anyone else on this council who would like to serve on the ordinance committee besides Mr. besides Mr. Ryan Shaver? Because he's already volunteered to do that. Mr. Mangus, would you be willing to serve as a chairman on but you're already
I don't
chairing.
want to, be chair for two. That's
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I'm just trying to get some clarification. And like I said, I think what I'm asking is a legal question. And currently we don't have a counselor here to do that. Can we put this off until we can get a legal intervention on this?
We probably could, but let's establish the committee because, and then if you find it to be illegal, we'll make some changes. But it's not illegal. The chairman is charged with creating the finance committee. We've always done this, Dean. It's the right thing to do. I don't understand what the pushback is.
The question is who are the people going to be? That's what you're basically asking.
No, it's my understanding that, just go ahead, Mr. Chairman, if that's what you want.
Are you willing to serve as chairman for the finance committee now? I mean, for the ordinance committee?
I'm not sure if what we're doing is actually legal, but yes, I will do it until we determine
Thank you so
an answer
much.
on that.
So
Yes.
I'd like to appoint Mr. Dean Coates as chairman to the ordinance committee. I'd like to appoint Ms. Erin Sandifer and Mr. Ryan Shavers. Y'all will be charged with meeting as an ordinance committee. And then for I'd like to have Mr. Robert Bergeron, who's a local business owner, Mr. Brian Ross, and Mr. Larry Davis serve as also members of that ordinance committee. So that will give us 6 committees members for the ordinance and 5 for the finance committee. And they'll be working closely with the community and bringing good decisions to this council for us to make the final decisions on. So that's the
I have a question.
establishment of finance and ordinance committees. Mr. Savers.
Mr. John, whenever we appoint a new chair, we vote for a new chair, can changes be made to that committee based on?
Absolutely. The chairman at that year will appoint whoever they want for whatever committees that they desire.
So they can reach out to the public and get whoever they want from the public to serve on these committees.
But according to our ordinance, they have to have at least a minimum of 3 parish council members. So you can't stack it with a bunch of people that are not on the, but you have to have at least 3 council members, but it doesn't limit of how many other people you can have, according to the home rule chart, to the ordinance that we've adopted.
Okay, can I have a question?
Mr. Mangus.
Is it possible that there can be non-voting members on a committee?
I think the entire parish, since it's a public information, I think anyone can come speak, and technically they would be a non-voting member. That's a good question. They would, but anyone can come to the podium and speak in the committees. They've all been open to the public, so anyone can come speak. But that's a good question, and if you think somebody should be a non-voting member, well, I don't know why you'd want to serve on a committee if you can't vote. But other than just to help and to give advice, which is what this whole committee does, is they give advice and put together and dig through the weeds, get the information, bring it to this council. We make the final decision as the authority of this parish on ordinances and finances. So I think it's a great advisory committee to do this.
Who was on the ordinance committee in the last administration?
Shane Mack.
Me, Shane Mack, Aaron Sandifer, and Randy DeLapp. All right. The next item on the agenda is District Attorney Report, which we don't have one. The next item is my favorite, the motion to adjourn. What's that?
I ain't doing it this time.
I'm sorry?
Somebody else do it.
Before we get to adjourn, please forgive me.
And what's the score of the game?
Yeah, thank you. Addendum A2, Parish President's Report. This would be under adopt a resolution to approve a storage building for Premier Concrete, acknowledging drainage impact study previously approved for the entirety of the site and allow the project to move forward. It's my understanding that there's this building that they've been working on. They're meeting all of the requirements by the parish, Mr. Idell, and the only thing is they just wasn't able to go through some of the planning because the planning is not meeting, I think, for the month of February.
March, yeah.
So if we could just approve this, it would just expedite their workers and the product service.
Right. Eddie Idell, Alvin Fairman Associates. Thank you, guys. I'll be really quick.
like Mr. Wascom said, I think you're aware of it, Mr. Shavers, it's in your district. This is Premier Concrete, which is in the north end of the parish off of Highway 16. Last year, they got approval to build a large open structure, doesn't have any walls on it. It does have some partial walls just to kind of protect it from the rain, where they're going to be storing a lot of precast concrete. There's also going to be some large gantry cranes in there to move that stuff around. They're going to be making some precast products in there. And what this building started out as was just a control room. They are going to use it for storing some concrete samples. There will also be break room and restrooms in it, but it's located within the footprint. We're not expanding the footprint of Premier Concrete at all. It's located within the existing footprint. We did go through the full process for the first building. We all have gone through the full process for this, what we're calling the control room. It does have storage in it as well. The issue is they were going to be on the agenda for approval in February, and that meeting's been canceled. That's what the request was about, to come to you guys tonight. Fort Noblata has reviewed it. All their comments have been addressed. There's no request for any waivers. And so, that's what the request is for you guys to, if you would consider approving it tonight. They already have a tight timeline that it's going to be very challenging for them to meet. So the additional 30 days would be significant to those guys. So
You're asking us to move forward with the permit?
Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah.
Mr. Shavers, you good with that? Motion by Mr. Shavers?
Question.
Is there a second? Let's get the second. Well, go ahead if you got a question. Go ahead.
Eddie, how big's the building we talking about?
60 by...
I seen it. I didn't just see it on there.
It is. Give me 1 second, Mr. Lonnie.
Is it 160 by 200?
Oh,
No, it's 47 by 61. The really large building, Mr. Lonnie, was already approved last year, and it's under construction.
Right, and this is going to be for...
There's going to be the control room for the gantry cranes and everything, and the electrical. There will be a break room and bathrooms in there, and a storage area for concrete samples. Yes, sir.
Is there any more questions?
None.
We had a motion by Mr. Shavers. Is there a second? Second by Mr. John Mangus. Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
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 Is there any opposed? That motion carries. Motion to adjourn is in order.
I have a motion to adjourn.
Who's that? Mr. Taylor?
Second.
Second by Mr. Coates. Any discussion? I hereby declare this, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. I hereby declare this meeting adjourned.